Rachel gave you a list, yeah? The only thing I'm going to say, doesn't really matter if not, but on the Shabbat, I said when we started, but it would actually be helpful if you read each line first. Can you do that? Yeah. So, read, sing, read, sing. Yeah? That'd be great. Thank you.
Aoife, would you like to do the blessing for the community? Excellent, thank you. Alison, would you like to do the blessing for the royal family? Excellent. Don't forget to say King Charles.
Yes,
Our sovereign King Charles, okay? Lovely, thank you.
King Charles III.
No, just King Charles will do. Thank you. Okay, so Alison, Aoife, Paul, and Hugba and Galila. We need a Hugba. Kevin, Hugba and Galila.
I think Stephen and I can take over.
Okay, I need to open the ark. Oh, maybe.
Stephen?
Yeah.
You can do and I'll take over. I can't tell it out. You can have like a sleepover at the Science Museum.
Sorry.
And just, Joseph just asked me to read the first lines before he sings.
Okay, that's
Just that you don't get confused.
So then you read Shema, you sing.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Shabbat Shalom, everybody. Should we get the door closed if you don't mind, Alan? Shabbat Shalom to everyone who is here and to those of you on Zoom and also to those of you who are live streaming this morning. A very warm welcome. And also to Paul's daughter and granddaughter. It's lovely to have you with us. And they're going to be leaving us very shortly to go into the children's service that Rabbi Anna is taking. Also, a very, very, very warm welcome to Marina and Anicia. Marina and Anicia are from Ukraine, and they're part of Rabbi Alex's community. So I know that everyone will give them a very, very warm welcome, and will want to speak to you at Kiddush. I'm quite sure of that. So it's lovely to have you with us. They've had a 2-hour journey to get here, so yeah, lovely that you're here. I would also like to introduce to you Mark Schultz. And Mark is from the Ark Synagogue, and he's on the Ba'alei Tefillah program, the LJ Ba'alei Tefillah program, which teaches people how to lead a service. So he has asked different communities if they wouldn't mind giving him some opportunity to practice on them. So here he is today, and he's going to be leading part of the service for us. Lovely to have you with us, Mark. We look forward to hearing from you. There was one other thing, but it's gone. Okay, so no, forget that one. Okay, so we're going to be reading from service number 1 this morning, and that's on page 105. Would you please rise?
As we say the prayers of our ancestors, help us, O God, to remember their faith and devotion, their joy and suffering, and make us worthy of our heritage. May the tradition we have received live in us and pass from us to generations we shall never know, enriched by the truth we have found and the good we have done. So may we fulfill our task on earth and receive our blessing. Eternal God, school us in your teachings and make us loyal to your commandments. May we never consent to evil or surrender to temptation or self-contempt. Help us to rise above selfishness and make us responsive to the voice of conscience. Direct our every impulse to your service. Today and every day, may we merit kindness and compassion in your sight and in the sight of all who behold us. And let us know your love. We praise you, O God, for the love you daily show us. Baruch Shema v'haya olam. Baruch Hu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Hamehulal b'fi amo. Mshubach umfo'ar b'lshon chasidav avodav. B'shvachot u'b'zmirot. Nigadelecha v'namlichecha. Melkeinu yachid chei haolamim. Baruch atah Adonai melech mehulal v'tish b'chot. Let us read responsively. Always I will exalt you, my sovereign God.
And praise your name forever.
Beginning each day with praise.
I will extol your name forever.
Cause us to see your greatness is beyond us.
Eternal one forever to be praised.
Declaring your works to each generation.
We bear witness to your mighty acts.
Even as they speak of your splendor.
So I will meditate on your wonderful deeds.
For as they tell of your awesome might.
So I will recount your greatness.
Great is your goodness which they celebrate.
As they sing of your righteousness.
Holding us in your grace and compassion.
You are patient and abounding in love.
In your goodness, eternal God.
You have mercy on all your creatures.
Joyfully your work shall thank you.
And your faithful ones shall praise you.
Knowing how great is your majesty.
Proclaim your might.
Let all humanity perceive your power.
And the glorious splendor of your redemption.
Mighty is your rule and everlasting.
Your reign endures in
O God, you support the falling. Pleading, all look in hope to you. Quietly, you open your hand. Righteous are you in all your ways. So near are you to all who call upon you. The desire of those who revere you, you fulfill. Unceasingly our lips shall sing God's praise. Please rise.
Page 135.
Please be seated. Let us read together in English. We praise you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the universe, Maker of light and Creator of darkness, Author of peace and Creator of all things. In your mercy you give light to the earth and all who live on it. And your goodness you renew creation continually, day by day. How manifold are your works, O God! With wisdom have you made them all. The world is full of your creations. Your handiwork proclaims your praise. The radiant stars bear witness to your glory. We praise your God, Creator of light. Ahava rabbah haftanu, Adonai Eloheinu. Chemla gedola v'yiturah hamalta aleinu. Avinu malkeinu, baravu avotenu shebatchu b'cha. V'tilamdeim chukei chayim. Kein techonenu v'tilamdeinu. V'ten belibeinu lehavinu lehaskil. Lishmoa lilmot ulalmet. Lishmoa la'asot u'lekayem et kol divrei toratecha ba'ahava. V'ha'er eineinu b'toratecha. V'dabek libeinu b'mitzvotecha. V'yachet levaveinu le'ahava u'leyura et shemecha. Kivanu v'charta le'yachedecha ba'ahava. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher ba'amo Yisrael ba'ahava. Please stand. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Shem kavod malchuto leolam va'ed.
Baruch Shem kavod malchuto leolam va'ed.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha. V'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha. V'shinantam levanecha v'dibarta bam. V'shiftecha b'veitecha u'v'lechtecha v'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha. U'kshartam le'ot al yadecha. V'hayu letotafot bein enecha. Uchtaftam al mezuzot beitecha. Uvi sharecha. Please be seated. Good and beautiful and true, sound, established and enduring are these words, now and forever. True it is, Eternal One, that you are our sovereign God and Redeemer, as you were the God and Redeemer of our ancestors. You are our Maker, the rock of our salvation. We have known you always as our helper and our liberator. There is no God but you. Truly, you are first and you are last. We have no Redeemer but you. You redeemed us from Egypt and freed us from the house of bondage. Then, with great joy, Moses, Miriam, and all Israel together sang to you this song. Please rise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avoteinu ve'Imotenu, Elohei Abraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Zara, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol Hagibor v'Hanura, אל עליון, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לפני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה, מלך עוזר ומשיח ומגן. ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת זרע. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע. משיף הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מסריח השמש ומוריד הטל. מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מתים ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות מתים. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי המתים. נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך. כבודו מלא עולם. במקומך מלכנו תופיע ותמלוך עלינו, כי מחכים אנחנו לך. Please be seated. You inspired our ancestors to hallow this day for your service. When upon its coming we pause to contemplate our life, we learn anew that we do not live by bread alone, but also by the spiritual nourishment we receive when we open ourselves to your influence. We thank you for the Sabbath day and for the opportunity it offers to enhance the quality of our lives. We thank you for its joy and for its peace. May our worship help us to take into our hearts its message of holiness and consecrate all our days by devotion to what is true, beautiful, and good. Let's continue together in English. Our God and God of our ancestors, may your rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us by your commandments, and make us loyal to your teaching. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, eternal one, let the holiness of your Sabbath enter our hearts, and may all Israel who hallow your name be exalted by its peace. We praise your God for the holiness of the Sabbath. R'tzeh Adonai Eloheinu ba'amcha Yisrael, utfilatam ba'ahava tekabel, utehi l'ratzon tamid avodat Yisrael amecha, baruch atah Adonai, she'otecha levadecha, v'yira na'avot. Modim anachnu lach, she'atah hu Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu, le'olam va'ed. Tzu chayenu magen yishenu, atah hu ledor vador. נודה לך ונספר תהילתך על חיינו היצורים בידיך ועל נשמותינו הפקודות לך ועל ניסיך שבכל יום עמנו ועל נפלותיך וטובותיך שבכל עת ערב ובוקר וצהריים. ברוך אתה אדוני, הטוב שמך ולך נאה להודות.
Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Chaim v'chesed v'rachim aleinu, v'rochom Yisrael alecha. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Achinu amin kulanu lecha, ki orov alecha natan lanu Adonai Eloheinu. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Torah chaim v'ahavat esem, utzedakah ubracha. V'racham leim ha'elim v'shalom. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Tov banecha v'lechacha, Yisrael yetovavim, v'chorev v'choshav yishtameach. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Sim shalom, Torah uvrah. Baruch atah Adonai, oseh hashalom.
Let us take a few moments for silent prayer.
So we're going to turn over now to our Torah service, and we're going to do the one on page 490. I haven't done that one for a while. So I invite Stephen and Amanda, I believe, to come on up. Haghel et ha'am, ha'anashim v'hanashim v'hataf v'gercha asher bish'arecha. Assemble the people, men, women and children, and the strangers in your cities, to hear and learn to revere the Eternal One your God, and observe faithfully all the precepts of this Torah. And let their children who do not yet know it hear, that they too may learn to revere the Eternal One your God. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonai, Gadol Shemo. Gadlul Adonai iti, Unuromama Shemo Yachdav. Okay. Multitasking. So our Torah portion today is Parashat Tetzaveh, from Exodus chapter 27 verse 20 through to chapter 30 verse 10. And the Torah portion continues the description of the Mikdash, or the Mishkan, the tabernacle in the desert, which the Israelites are instructed to build so that God will dwell among them. What do those two words mean? Mikdash and Mishkan. What's at the root of those words? Kodesh, yes, Mikdash, Kodesh, holy, so it's the holy place. And Mishkan? Yeah, l'shachen, to dwell. So it's the dwelling place of God. And another word that we know from that root, of course, is Shekhinah, which is often translated as the indwelling presence of God. So what's the only item from the Mishkan that remains today in our synagogues? In all synagogues. The Ner Tamid, the everlasting light, and that's why I've put the menorah up behind it, because that's what the Ner Tamid would have been lit in, because in the tabernacle it was lit only at night till the morning, because the daylight did for the day. So it was an everlasting light, but only at night time. And that's how the Torah portion begins. Tetzaveh means you shall command. And the Israelites are commanded to create a ner tamid, a constantly burning light. And to appoint Aaron and his sons as priests to manage the sacrifices that are offered in the sanctuary. There are detailed instructions about the clothing for Aaron, the ephod, which we're going to look at a little bit later, the breastpiece, with 12 precious stones, one for each tribe, and containing the Urim and Tumim, and I'll say a little bit more about them later, the robe, the fringed tunic with bells and pomegranates on the helm so that God could hear him approach, the headdress and sash. And the Torah dressings that we have here parallel the high priest's sacral vestments. Aaron's ceremony of ordination as high priest is described, along with instructions for the slaughtering of sacrificial offerings. And the portion concludes with directions for building an altar for burning incense before the ark. Parashat Tetzaveh begins and ends with light, which is a recurring theme throughout, and of course with which God is closely associated. So as well as Shabbat Tetzaveh, it's also Shabbat Zachor, the Sabbath of Remembrance. And it's the second in a series of special Sabbaths that lead us up to Purim, which is on Monday evening, and Passover. Shabbat Zachor is always the Sabbath immediately before Purim. So Jewish tradition adds an extra readings to supplement the weekly Torah portion. We're not going to do that today. It's taken from the book of Deuteronomy, and it instructs us to remember Zachor, the attack on the Israelites by the Amalekites, and never to forget what they did. And we are to blot out the memory of Amalek from under the heavens. And of course, the wicked Haman, the villain of the Purim story, was a descendant of Amalek, and the command to blot out Amalek's memory is fulfilled by the noise that's made during the reading of the Megillah whenever Haman's name is mentioned. So Paul, Ya'amod, I don't know your Hebrew name. Come on up. Sorry? Ya'amod, Peretz, Mordechai, Ben Yoman. Okay. Likriyat HaTorah.
Baruch et Adonai HaMavorach.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai HaMavorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech ha'olam asher bachar b'onu mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et Toratav. Baruch atah Adonai natan haTorah.
Amen.
Amen.
Do you mind holding on to that? So otherwise it will roll back. Thank you, Stephen, for sharing the screen. ועשית חושן משפט, מעשה חושב, כמעשה אפוד תעשנו, זהב, תכלת וארגמן ותולעת שני, ושש מושזר תעשה אותו. רבוע יהיה כפול, זרת אורכו וזרת רוחבו, ומילאת בו מילואת אבן, 4 טורים אבן, טור אודם פתדה uvareket, hatur ha'echad, v'hatur ha'sheni, nofech, sapir v'yahalom, v'hatur ha'shlishi, leshem, shavo v'achlama, v'hatur ha'revi'i, tarshish v'shoham v'yashfeh, mushbatsim zahav yihiyu, b'miluotam. V'ha'avanim tihiena al shemot b'nei Yisrael, 12 al shemotam pituchei chotam, ish al shemot tihiena, lishnei asar shavet. Ve'asita al hachoshen, sharshot gavlut, ma'aseh avot, zahav tahor. Ve'asita al hachoshen, shtei tabaot zahav, v'natata et shtei hatabaot al shnei katzot hachoshen, ונתת את שתי אבותות הזהב על שתי הטבעות אל קצות החושן, ואת שתי קצות שתי האבותות תיתן על שתי המשבצות, ונתת על כתפות האפוד אל מול פניו. Bless you. ועשית שתי טבעות זהב ושמת אותם על שני קצות החושן, על שפתו, אשר על עבר האפוד ביתה. אל עבר האפוד ביתה. ועשית שתי טבעות זהב, ונתת אותם אל שתי חטפות האפוד, מלמטה, ממול פניו, לעומת מחברתו, ממעל לחשב האפוד. וירכסו את החושן מטבעותיו אל טבעות האפוד בפתיל תכלת, להיות על חשב האפוד, ולא יזך החושן מעל האפוד. ונשא אהרון את שמות בני ישראל בחושן המשפט, על ליבו בבואו אל הקודש, לזיכרון לפני אדוני תמיד. ונתת אל חושן המשפט את האורים ואת התומים, והיו על לב אהרון בבואו לפני אדוני. ונשא אהרון את משפט בני ישראל על ליבו לפני Adonai tamid. So, as you know, I normally like to translate from the scroll, but it's such a complicated and rather complex text. So I've done my own translation, which you'll see it's slightly different from the one that is offered by the JPS. But I'm not going to do it from the scroll because I'm going to get horribly lost. You shall make a breastplate of judgment, the Choshen Mishpat, the work of a designer. Make it like the work of the ephod. Make it of gold, of blue, purple, and crimson yarns, and of fine twisted linen. It shall be square and doubled, a handspan in length and a handspan in width. Set in it a stone inset in 4 rows of stones. The first row, now there are 12 precious stones mentioned here, and nobody knows exactly what most of them are. So every translation you'll go to will have a slightly different variation, as you'll see. The first row shall be a row of ruby, which makes sense because that's odem, and the root of that is adom, which is red. Topaz and malachite. The second row, turquoise, sapphire, which is sapphire in Hebrew, so that's quite easy. And amethyst, actually, the 2 translations that I looked at have, but yahalom in modern Hebrew, does anyone know what that is? Is a diamond. The third row, jacinth, agate, and crystal. And the fourth row, beryl, carnelian, or lapis lazuli, and jasper. And jasper in Hebrew is yashfeh, so it's clearly this similar or the same root. They shall be framed with gold in their settings. The stones shall be according to the names of the sons of Israel, 12 according to their names. They shall be engraved like seals, each with its name, for the 12 tribes. On the breastplate make intertwined cordwork, chains of pure gold. Make 2 rings of gold on the breastplate, and set the 2 rings on the 2 edges of the breastplate. Then set the 2 golden cords on the 2 rings at the edges of the breastplate. I've been over this many, many, many times, and I'm still a bit confused.
Yeah.
And the 2 ends of the 2 cords you shall set in the 2 frames, and put them on the shoulder pieces of the ephod at the front. Make 2 rings of gold and put them on the 2 edges of the breastplate, at its border which faces the ephod on the inside. And make 2 other rings of gold and set them on the 2 shoulder pieces of the ephod, below in the front, opposite its seam, above the band of the ephod. And they shall fasten the breastplate from its rings to the rings of the ephod with a cord of blue, to be upon the band of the ephod, so that the breastplate does not come loose from the ephod. Aaron shall carry the names of the sons of Israel on the breastplate of judgment over his heart when he enters the sanctuary, for remembrance before the Eternal One at all times. Inside the breastplate of judgment you shall place the Urim and the Tumim, so that they are over Aaron's heart when he comes before the Eternal One. Thus Aaron shall carry the judgment for the Israelites over his heart before the Eternal One at all times. So we don't know exactly what the ephod is, which is why we translate it as ephod, but it's some kind of vestment that would be worn, I think, underneath the breastplate of judgment, which all of which would hold these Urim and Tumim that had an important role, which I'll talk about when I introduce the Haftarah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natalanu Torah, emet, v'chayei alonu, natan b'ta chayinu, Baruch atah Adonai, natan Torah.
Amen.
Amen.
Shar kochacha. Thank you
Thank
very
you.
much, Paul. Would you please rise?
Baruch
Shenatah. Thank you. Is there anyone to move the screen share down? Kevin, are you able to?
I moved it already, actually, it's ready to go.
Linda's doing the reading. I'll do
The
that.
next
Go to
page.
the computer.
It's there, but it just needs to come down to the second page when we get to that. Please be seated, everybody. So our Haftarah portion that Linda is going to read, she has a yard site today for her father, so in honour of her dad, is from the first book of Samuel, chapter 23, verses 1 to 13. So in this reading, King Saul is roused to jealousy over David's military successes, and he seeks to kill him. Abiathar, the son of the priest Ahimelech, joins David and brings with him an ephod. In the section that Linda will be reading, 1 Samuel 23, 1 to 13, David consults God by means of the ephod, which probably contained the Urim and Thummim. So the Urim and Thummim were some kind of lot. They were lots which gave yes-no answers to the questions posed, depending on which counter the priest pulled out of the Choshen Mishpat, the breastplate of judgment. So Urim, possibly the root of that is or, which means light. So that would have been, the words were enlightening. And Thummim the root is probably tam, which means complete or pure. So they fulfilled their words. But they were the principal way in which the priests would consult God on behalf of others. So our Torah portion contains the first biblical reference to the Urim and the Thummim, and the Haftarah shows us an instance of them in operation. Thanks, Linda.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, asher b'cha b'nvi'im tovim, b'ratzah v'divreihem ha'ne'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai, habocher b'Torah, u'v'Moshe avdo, u'v'Yisrael amo, u'v'nvi'ei ha'emet v'tzedek. David was told, the Philistines are raiding Keilah and plundering the threshing floors. David consulted the Eternal One. Shall I go and attack those Philistines? And the Eternal One said to David, Go, attack the Philistines, and you will save Keilah. But David's men said to him, Look, we are afraid here in Judah. How much more if we go to Keilah against the forces of the Philistines? So David consulted the Eternal One again, and the Eternal One answered him, March down at once to Keilah, for I am going to deliver the Philistines into your hands. David and his men went to Keilah and fought against the Philistines. He drove off their cattle and inflicted a severe defeat on them. Thus David saved the inhabitants of Keilah. When Abiathar, son of Ahimelech, fled to David at Keilah, he brought down an ephod with him. Saul was told that David had come to Keilah, and Saul thought, God has delivered him into my hands, for he has shut himself in by entering a town with gates and bars. Saul summoned all the troops for war to go down to Keilah and besiege David and his men. When David learnt that Saul was planning to harm him, he told the priest Abiathar to bring the ephod forward. And David said, O Eternal One, God of Israel, your servant has heard that Saul intends to come to Keilah and destroy the town because of me. Will the citizens of Keilah deliver me into his hands? Will Saul come down as your servant has heard? O Eternal One, God of Israel, tell your servant. And the Eternal One said, He will. David continued, Will the citizens of Keilah deliver me and my men into Saul's hands? And the Eternal One answered, They will. So David and his men, about 600 in number, left Keilah at once and moved about wherever they could. And when Saul was told that David had gone away from Keilah, he did not set out. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech ha'olam, tzur kol ha'olamim, tzadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'ne'eman, ha'omer v'oseh, ha'medaber u'mekayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek. Al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah v'al ha'mvi'im v'al yom ha'shabbat hazeh shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu likdusha v'limnucha lekavod u'letifaret Al ha'kol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach u'mavarekim otak yitbarach shimcha b'fikochai tamid le'olam va'ed Baruch atah Adonai mekadesh ha'shabbat. Amen.
Thanks, Linda. Lots of strength. So at the foot of page 493, Alison, you're going to read this one.
Eternal God, whose domain embraces the universe, we ask your blessing for our monarch King Charles and all the royal family, for those who govern our country and all those who influence the quality of its national life. Make them conscious of their responsibility and teach them to exercise it in accordance with your will. May we all help to fashion in this country a society that excels in freedom and justice, tolerance and compassion, so that it may be a force for righteousness and peace in the life of humanity.
Amen. Thank you, Alison. And Aoife.
Would you like me to pause in the middle for the prayer for healing?
No, it's okay. I'll do that afterwards, Aoife.
Okay. Eternal God, as you blessed our ancestors in generations past, bless now this congregation.
Aoife, we're on page 494.
494. Oh, I couldn't find it on 494.
There's a
mistake.
It's a slightly different blessing.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
May the one who blessed our ancestors bless all our brothers and sisters of the house of Israel who enter synagogues to pray and to give aid to those in need. May the Holy One, to whom all praise is due, hear their prayers and help them to fulfill their aspirations for good.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, Aoife. Thank you. And so I will insert here a prayer for healing. God of compassion, grant courage and strength to those who are ill, compassion and skill to their physicians and carers. May your loving presence always be with those who are ill, comforting and sustaining them and their loved ones who support them in their time of need. May those in need of healing who are broken in spirit, body or soul feel the strength and support that we as a community offer to them with all our hearts. And please feel free to share now the names of those who need our love and care at this time.
My brother Ashley Hart.
We pray that the warmth of God's light envelops those who need its power. We join our prayers with the prayers of all who love them. Give them renewed comfort and courage. Ana elna rafana lahem. Please God, bring them wholeness and peace. Baruch atah Adonai, Rofei HaCholim. Blessed are you, eternal God, the source of healing. I'm going to invite Paul to come and read a special prayer that has been written by Rabbi Oded Mazur, Israeli rabbi, which is a prayer for, what's it say at the top? For the health of our democracy.
I think it's their democracy, not our democracy, but whatever.
It's ours as well, I think.
May the one who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Sarah, Isaac, Rebekah, Jacob, Rachel, Leah, Bilhah, and Zilpah, bless those who stand guard over democracy, equality, and peace, whether from our people or around the world, who will not stand idly by, but work for the repair of society in the face of threats to our system of justice and to the rule of law. May the Holy One bless them and save them from all danger and distress, from all illness and infirmity, from all harassment and harm, and from any attempts to humiliate them or avert them from their mission in the struggle against apathy, indolence, and unwillingness to get involved. May their efforts be successful, and may they be blessed with a good eye to see injustice, a good heart that they never stop caring, and strength to continue working to protect the rights of every human being, because they are human beings, to establish justice and to make peace for every woman and man, for every child, for every human made in the image of God. And may the verse be fulfilled in them, for in return, Adonai your God will bless you in all your efforts and in all your undertakings. And let us say, Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Paul. And I invite Avril to come and say our prayer for Ukraine.
Eternal One, rock of our existence, the source and sustainer of life, as President Putin wages war on Ukraine and the forces of autocracy wreak havoc and attempt to instill terror and fear in every heart, we call on you to strengthen the people of Ukraine in their collective will to muster the courage and the fortitude to withstand the onslaught, strengthened by the knowledge that democratic nations across the world stand in solidarity with them and will do everything necessary to support their efforts to resist the imposition of tyranny. Meanwhile, as ordinary people everywhere, like ourselves, witness the horror and feel helpless and hopeless in the face of overwhelming events beyond our control, we ask you to enable us to understand that we are not powerless to help, that our deeds, however small, matter, and that above all, knowing that despair is the dearest friend of tyrants, we have the obligation to hope and to demonstrate our constant fidelity to the enduring values of peace and freedom, equality and justice. May this be our will, and let us say,
Amen.
Amen. Thanks. And in the middle of page 494. Yehalelu et Shem Adonai ki niskav shemo levado. And on page 496. This is the covenant I will make with the house of Israel in time to come, says the Eternal One. I will put my teaching within them and engrave it on their hearts. I will be their God, and they shall be my people. No longer shall anyone need to teach a friend or a neighbour to know me, for they all shall know me, young and old alike. My first trip to Israel at the age of 8 marked the beginning of a love affair with the land, the people, and the language. I've been many times, and I've always felt a sense of homecoming at that moment of landing in Tel Aviv. And of course, everyone always applauds, so that's a special moment. And I know I'm not alone in that feeling. From biblical times onwards, the Jewish people have been drawn towards the land, towards the idea of Israel as a refuge and a homeland. My heart is in the east, wrote the poet Yehuda Halevi, but I am at the end of the west. All of which, of course, means that I am heartbroken, as I'm sure we all are, at the situation in the country now. How are we to address the profoundly concerning developments since the Israeli elections towards the end of last year? Israel's 37th government, led for the 6th time by Benjamin Netanyahu, is the most, I quote, religious and right-wing government in the history of the modern state of Israel. This was the 5th Knesset election in 4 years, with a prime minister who is under criminal investigation for corruption. So often the threat to Israel's existence has come from outside the state. Now more than ever, the threat comes from within. According to the Choose Democracy website, Israel's government is seeking to undermine the rule of law and curtail human rights, limit the freedom of the press, remove legal protections from minorities, including LGBTQ people, migrant workers, and asylum seekers, claim the Jewish people have exclusive rights to all the land of Israel and the West Bank, prevent the viability of a future two-state solution, rescind the legal status of non-Orthodox conversions undertaken in Israel, meaning these conversions cannot be used to obtain Israeli citizenship, deny those who have a Jewish grandparent but are not halachically Jewish refuge in Israel, law of return, erode religious freedom, pluralism, and freedom of choice, endanger women, and place restrictions on women's role in public life. As Yair Lapid, opposition leader and former prime minister, said, they're threatening to destroy the entire constitutional structure of the state of Israel. It has been heartening to see the more than 100,000 Israelis out on the streets demonstrating against the government's actions and calling for the protection of liberal democracy. My cousin Penny has sent me photos and videos of protests in Caesarea. Last week's killing of 2 young Israelis in the Palestinian village of Huwara was a tragedy. The subsequent racist riot, described as a pogrom by Major General Yehuda Fuchs, commanding officer of the IDF Central Command, and also in the media, that riot against the village by 400 settler thugs was, well, it's beyond words. As Rabbi Neil Janes commented in his message to the SBJC community yesterday, some of the rhetoric of wipe out and burn the village from Israeli politicians has led to a demand for an investigation for incitement. And as an outsider looking in, the language, typically couched as deniable in its connection to the actual violence by settlers, does indeed look like it encouraged the violence that led to death, injury, and burning of buildings and vehicles. And incidentally, the Palestinian who died had just come back from Turkey, where he was aiding the effort. It's just too awful. Again, the response from concerned Israelis has seen some £370,000 raised and donated to the residents of Huwara. The Israeli army attempted to stop a solidarity march to the village yesterday. Former Meretz MK Mossi Raz condemned the situation. The military announcement that is barring Israelis from a solidarity visit in Huwara is the essence of the policy of occupation. Entry for those carrying out pogroms is allowed. Peace activists are barred. That's what the occupation looks like, he tweeted. Rabbi Neil goes on to write, the lack of a decent political opposition able to use its power means that it does feel as if Netanyahu can continue to act as he wants, in coalition with some far-right politicians whose views are misogynist, homophobic, and racist. The wider violence, the right-wing agenda, and the parliamentary legislative plans that the Israeli government is trying to put through cannot be disconnected from the lack of peace with the Palestinians and Palestinian violence perpetrated against Israelis, Iran's threats to Jews globally, the settler program, and the occupation which fundamentally distorts and debases the human rights of the Palestinians in the occupied territories. It is a complex situation to understand, and one which has left many of us feeling like observers to a Zionist dream, becoming a bit of a nightmare. Like me and many of us, Rabbi Neil regards the state of Israel as important and unique to his Jewish identity. But he writes, I also understand that we cannot separate current events there from the global phenomena of populism, right and left, of polarization and of post-truth. War and conflict continue to cast dark shadows, and the environmental crisis and the rewriting of the role of nation-state in a context of globalization and digitization all impact on this, alongside which, of course, we have the experience of anti-Semitism. Israel is just a piece in this puzzle of world affairs, and yet it is a piece with immense importance to our history and to our lives today. How are we to respond to this situation, which with the current Israeli government appears desperate and intractable? As Rabbi Arthur Green wrote recently, this is not the time to retreat. It is not the time to cut ourselves off from those in the state of Israel who are working for peace and reconciliation, who want to see a Palestinian state, who wish to see Israel's democratic values upheld with justice and impartiality. We are engaged today in a great struggle for the soul of Judaism, he writes. Those who read it in an exclusivist and xenophobic way have taken center stage. But this is about a legacy that we all share, one in which we take great pride. Do we really want to give it away to the racists among us? Yesterday, I was talking to my colleague, Rabbi Alexandra Wright, and the evening before, she had been at a talk by Rabbi Ron Kronish, founding director of the ICCI, the Interreligious Coordinating Council in Israel. The crux of his message, she said, was that we should not detach from Israel. We need to be in it for the long haul. There is a possibility that the government may implode, of course. But he insisted that the peace process is not dead. It does appear to be on freeze at the moment, but there are things happening behind the scenes that we can only hope will make a positive difference. Hard as it is to be optimistic about Israel's future and the dream of peace between Israelis and Palestinians, it is so important for us to remain committed to the liberal values enshrined in Israel's Declaration of Independence, that the State of Israel will be based on the principles of liberty, justice, and peace as conceived by the prophets of Israel, that it will uphold the full social and political equality of all its citizens without distinction of religion, race, or sex, will guarantee freedom of religion, conscience, education, and culture, and will safeguard the holy places of all religions. It's so important for us to have the courage and the determination to be liberal Zionists, to keep caring, and to retain the vision and the dream of a positive future for Jews, Judaism, and Israel. A future in which hatred and intolerance are defeated by tolerance and understanding, freedom and peace, reconciliation and hope. Tikva. Liberal Judaism is a supporter of Choose Democracy, a campaign which is standing in solidarity with those trying to protect democracy in Israel. Artsenu UK, which is the liberal religious Zionist organisation here, of which Rabbi Leah Mulstein, I believe, is the chair, is another group working for change in Israel, as is the Israel Movement of Progressive Judaism. I encourage you to take a look at their websites and see if you wish to support them. The themed reading for this Shabbat Tetzaveh is light. On page 236 of our Siddur, it asks us, how can we speak of light when the world is dark? And it goes on to say, the question is not new, and then it gives a quote from Isaiah, Sentinel, what of the night, what of the night? The sentinel says, morning comes, and so does night. Because the world is dark, all the more do we need to search for the light beyond us and within us and make it shine more brightly. The Ner Tamid that was lit in the Mishkan, the temple, and then in synagogues around the world is a light that reminds us that we are all human beings created in the image of God and enjoined to create a world at peace. Israeli Rabbi David Azulai concludes his thoughts on this week's parsha with these words. Darkness arrives when the light diminishes or disappears and brings with it terrible and painful actions, such as those that took place in the village of Huwara this past week. Terrible acts of murder and unbearable acts of violence. We must continue and illuminate the world, even when it is dark. With the help of the eternal light, we will rekindle the light of Judaism that seeks life and peace versus hatred and death. I pray that this light will spread goodness within the Jewish world and outside of it. Amen.
Amen.
And so we turn now to the conclusion of our service, to the Aleinu on page 520. Would you please rise?
Aleinu l'shabeach l'adon hakol, l'ateit gedula liyotzeh bereshit, asher sam chalkeinu le'ached et shemo, v'gor aleinu lahamlich malchuto, v'anachnu korein u'mishtachavim u'modim lifnei melech malei hamlachim hakadosh baruch hu, shehu noteh shamayim v'yosed haaretz u'asher yekar
And at the foot of the next page, it has been said, the eternal God shall rule over all the earth. On that day, the eternal God shall be one and known to be one. Creator of the universe, you give us life in which joys and sorrows are commingled in accordance with your wisdom, and you send death with its promise of eternal peace. Teach us to accept humbly and courageously whatever burden is laid upon us. And I'm sad to announce in our community the recent deaths of our member Mimi Rothbart, who died on Tuesday. And we also remember Vic Hammond, the father of Linda's daughter-in-law, who died on Thursday. We also remember on the occasion of their yahrzeits, Lily Groon, the mother of Jackie Groon and of Zoe Groon, Bernard Himmelfarb, the father of Linda Pace, Michelle Latchman, the mother of Celia Hipgrave, Valerie Lesser, the mother of Anthony Lesser, Gershon Meyer, the father of Esther Bamforth, Susan Saunders, the wife of Victor Saunders, Peter Steiner, the husband of Anne Steiner, and Mervyn Winston, the first husband of Brenda Hunt. Are there any other names that anyone would like to mention of people that you're thinking of this Shabbat? O God, comfort those who mourn, and let the light of faith illumine the darkness of their sorrow with the hope of immortality. Strengthen us at all times with an unfailing trust in your providence. As we say together on page 524. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, ve'alma divrach yiruteh v'yamlich malchuteh, v'chayechon u'v'yomechon u'v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kariv ve'imru amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah mevarach le'alam u'la'almei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shmei d'kudashah barichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechemata da'amiran be'alma v'imru amen. Yehei shlama Rabbah min shmaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'imromav, u'yaseh shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol b'nei Adam, ve'imru. Amen. May the Most High, source of perfect peace, grant peace to us, to all Israel, and to all humanity. And let us say, Amen. And to you, Jackie and Zoe and Linda and Anne, and to all those who mourn, we say, Hamakom Yinachem Etchem, B'toch Sha'ar Ha'avelim. May the eternal God comfort you and all who mourn. Amen. Please be seated, everybody. Just before Kevin comes and does announcements, I just want to say a very big thank you to you, Mark. It was lovely having you with us. And I think everyone will thoroughly agree that you're welcome to come back anytime.
Thank you.
So we wish you luck, and we hope to see you again. Kevin, I think we'll wait till the end of the month and do
birthday. Yeah, no more birthday blessings. You've had quite a
you've
few.
had enough.
I've had more than my fair share. So, okay. Again, and wish you strength and happy memories. And Zoe and Jackie, remember your mother. It's good to see you. And your cat was very well behaved, Jackie. I was observing. And again, Linda, I'm sure your father will be proud of all you do, for what you do to the community, and also helping me in my various roles. We're a good team. Rachel, again, I think that sermon moved me greatly. It was a real reality check. It was depressing, but that is the reality of it. But you've offered some lights at the end of the tunnel as well to keep us going. And also a warm welcome to our friends from Ukraine. It's lovely having you here. We realise things are really, really tough for you. We just wish you strength. You're in our prayers. Thank you for joining us. Hope to see you again. Joseph, sorry to wake you up. Focus. But thank you and Christy for uplifting. Yeah, there's been difficult things for this service, but the music has been really, really uplifting. Thank you very much. And Stephen, again, behind the scenes, on your own. Normally we're thanking Linda, but occasionally you have to be in person, and Stephen needs your hair, so it proves you can do this on your own as well. Not that you're redundant, Linda, in your role, but
thank you. But we always want to make you do it, Stephen.
Yeah. Announcements. Purim, correct me if I've got this wrong. This Monday, the 6th of March, we have 5:30, it's going to be a children's service.
Well, children's activities.
Children's activities. Being a child at heart, I might even join that. Then 6:30, it's a joint now, isn't it? It's joint with Reform and ourselves, Beginner Reading. And then the Mayhem starts at 7:30 with a
Well, I think Mayhem starts way before then.
It does, but proper Mayhem, where there's an alternative Purim spiel. I won a BAFTA for my last year's performance as Esther, and I've been asked again.
I'm terrified.
And terrified the children as well, but it's a chance for overacting, bad acting, a little bit of humour. It's fun, though, in the right spirit. Then moving on just to next Shabbat, it will be Gwendolyn leading. I really hope as many of you as possible can come to support her second service here. So we look forward to that. Stephen, screen share, what have we?
He's already done that. So 14th of March, I would mention.
14th?
Johnny Benjamin.
Oh yeah, Johnny Benjamin is going to give a very thought-provoking talk about his journey, his difficult journey, and how he's been able to get through incredible tough times. So it's a theme of hope, when things seem unbearable.
Can I ask, do you have to book for that particular event?
No, you don't.
Just turn up.
Yep, turn up. Okay, I've done with announced. Oh, one thing I need to mention, me and Aoife don't ring each other before the service and ask each other what we're wearing, so we coincide. That is a complete coincidence.
You supporting Newcastle United?
I'm not. You don't know what I've got underneath here, but that's.
I do.
We do, but am I allowed to mention? Shall I? Me and Rachel and Harry and Olivia have been invited to the rugby club. The Harrow Rugby Club to have lunch, to be wined and dined. They're playing my team, Wasps. So we're going to sort of be rivals, but it'll be fun as well. And it's really great. We've still got the link with the rugby club. Absolutely honoured that me and Rachel have been invited in recognition of what we've done. We haven't done either. They've hosted us, but the relationship is still there. It's really, really great. And hoping, who knows, we might be back there for some kind of religious activity. Right, that's me done, and I will remember the photo. Yep. Janet, you go. Alan?
Yes, also, there's one other thing. Hannah, do you want to do the announcement about Pesach? Come up to the mic.
I had a meeting yesterday with Rabbi Anna. I know we haven't had Purim yet, but we are thinking ahead of Pesach. And I'm happy to be able to tell you that we will have our communal Seder here on the second night, which is the 7th, Thursday the 7th of April. And everybody is welcome.
I think it's the 6th.
Is it?
I think so.
Well, whichever night Thursday is. The point is that we will need lots and lots of help. And I'm looking at everybody to see what sort of help they might be able to give. We need people who are interested in doing some cooking, serving, clearing up, everything, setting tables, clearing up tables. Of course, we will have some help. Prakash is going to be asked to help. But what I've always thought is that a communal Seder feels much more communal the more people that join in helping to create it. So please, would you all rush to volunteer to me after the service or at any time, or of course to Rabbi Anna. All help will be very much appreciated, and we're sure to have a wonderful communal Seder together. Thank you very much.
Here.
Thank you, Helen. And can I also say, if anyone's interested in the Baalei Tefillah program for leading services, or if you know of anyone who would like to join that, then come and speak to me or to Mark.
A date a little bit further ahead for you to make a note of in your diaries, and that is marking a big milestone in the life of this synagogue, when on the 16th of Sunday afternoon, the 16th of April, we are having a tea party here to mark the 75th anniversary of the synagogue. If your mental arithmetic is good, you can work out that it was founded in 1948. So we're marking that particular occasion. There will be some reminiscences of the synagogue and the life of the synagogue in 3 short segments of history, each of 25 years. There will be a photographic exhibition, a loop of the events when we left Preston Road in 2011, and a sing-song by Rabbi Rachel and Rabbi Anna, not to forget, of course, a very nice tea. So all members will have had, should have had an email in the last few days giving details of that. And also for those who are not on email, you will be getting details of that in the next hard copy newsletter. Please, though, it is free, thank you, Janet, it's free, but for catering purposes, we do need an idea of how many are attending. So if you haven't already got contacted the office, please do so either by email, the email address is on the notice, or otherwise to phone Jackie in the synagogue office either next Tuesday or next Thursday morning and do it that way. That's that. The other thing I wanted to say is that over there on top of the bookcase is the latest March-April edition of LJ Today, the magazine of liberal Judaism. So anybody here in the room is welcome to pick up a copy of that, and you might be interested in turning to page 4, where there is an article about one of our members. And for those of you on Zoom, you can easily access LJ Today by turning to Liberal Judaism, LJ Today, March-April, and you'll find it online there. Thank you.
And you can pick up the newsletter.
Thanks.
And
Do
produce
yep.
as well.
Okay, thank you so much, Alan. And we need to... What final song?
We did the Kiddush first. It works better. Trust me.
I'm happy
Okay.
with this one. I'm happy to go with it.
What was that? No. Okay, so so for benefit of everyone on Zoom, really, are we going to do the whole one?
No, just a
Baruch?
book, yeah.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, borei bari hagofen. Amen. L'chaim. And a motzi? We haven't got any challah?
No, just the Chaim.
Just the Chaim. Okay, good, excellent. So I'm going to hand over to Joseph for our final song, and then we need to, right after the song, we need to go.
We're going to end with
getting late.
It's a Purim song that I've done for the last couple of years, Ladino Purim song, called Haman Mamzer, which means Haman the Bastard, literally. And the words are on, I hope some people can see it, and I'll just remind you of the chorus. So So maybe we can just practice the chorus before we do it properly. It goes like this. Comamos, that's the italics. Comamos, bebamos, y también nos emborrachemos, y alegres estemos del bueno de Israel. Y alegres estemos del bueno de Israel. So that comes a few times. So try and pick that up when it comes. Al Israel al bueno el 14 de Adán. Comamos, bebamos y también nos emborrachemos y alegres estemos del bueno de Israel. Y alegres estemos del bueno de Israel.
Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
And they're just about finishing in both buildings, both sanctuaries as well. So
Perfect.
it's actually working.
Oh, thank you.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Yeah, fine. I think I was just. So what can we do about Oh no, we'll talk about it another time. Okay.
It's not up there, no, it wasn't. Well, I wasn't, as you can hear, I can't speak it, but it means that. It means that. Sorry, I did give the words, but if you couldn't see it, basically, it means that. Yeah, sorry. Okay, well, there we are. Yes.
Which I didn't know that they would do it on Purim. They only said last week, oh, actually, we're doing Purim on Saturday.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
So my wife and daughter decided to go to Purim.
Fair enough.
That's exactly the kind of thing that she has voiced.
Yeah. It does make you want to join in.
Yeah.
Which is the whole point.
How do you turn this? How do I turn this off? I keep forgetting. Yeah, already. Amanda, we phoned you in the deep end. Testing. Did you seem comfortable with it? No, I could tell that you're sort of. Test.
Phones and all that.